Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanna. Wasn't planning on taking a whole month off, but January kind of kicked my ass. I've basically been housebound and bedbound for most of the month, so here we are! Happy January! But anyway, yeah, good start to the new year. I'm pushing through. Today, I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk to you about spoon theory, since I've talked about it a little bit before in a low spoon makeup tutorial, but didn't go into too much detail, and I've been fighting a lot with my spoons lately. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what spoons are, and then talk about why spoon theory is not universal. So spoon theory was created by a member of the chronic illness and disability community. For the chronic illness and disability community, this can also be used for people with mental illness and neurodivergence. It was coined by Christine Miserandino in 2003. There's an entire published essay by Christine online that you can also find on her blog. Her blog is very well titled, But You Don't Look Sick, which is something that many of us with chronic illnesses and invisible disabilities hear on sometimes a daily basis. So I really like the wording of that, and yeah. Christine has lupus, and she had a conversation with a friend in which she was trying to convey what it's like to live with lupus on a daily basis. So they were in a restaurant. She grabbed up all of the spoons, teaspoons that she could see in sight, gave them to her friend, and said, "You now have lupus." So this was her way of trying to convey to her able-bodied friend units of energy that somebody who is disabled or chronically ill has to live with. We have limited energy to start with every day. We have limited spoons. For an abled individual, they don't have a specific amount that they start with every day, but we do. And we have to be very mindful of that. And again, this also goes for people who have a mental illness or people who are neurodivergent, because we all kind of process things differently, and things drain us differently, fatigue us differently. For us, everything sort of comes at a cost, every single thing. So think of even the most minute tasks, such as getting up out of bed in the morning, brushing your teeth, making yourself breakfast. These all come at a cost and an expenditure of spoons. Whereas these smaller tasks on a daily basis for somebody who is abled, they don't have to think about that sort of thing. And if it does cost them a certain amount of energy, they can usually replenish that within the same day. Somebody with a chronic illness and a disability, we can't replenish our spoon stores in the same day, sometimes not even within the same week. We can't do that with a good night's rest, for example, because rest doesn't restore fatigue, which I'm going to talk about the difference between tiredness and fatigue a little bit later.
Also worth mentioning is the fact that we have to ration our spoons. Often we have to make decisions throughout the day as to which tasks we will do and which ones we will have to save for another day, because it isn't possible to do both. For example, choosing between washing the dishes or taking a shower, but not both.
So a fellow chronically ill and disabled friend of mine made me aware that someone had used spoon theory in a video. And I don't want to get into who it was. It's really, to me, it's not relevant of who it was, but how this was used. And so the usage made my friend very uncomfortable. She sent me a clip of the video on Instagram. She'd used a screen recording just to show me that segment of the video, and I looked at it and I could see why it made her uncomfortable. The content creator made it clear that she'd heard about spoon theory from someone else, and this person acknowledged that it came from the disabled community, but then went on to say that they loved the analogy for other things other than its intended use, specifically in the instance of abled people who engage in social justice and who experience a feeling of tiredness from engagement and feeling sort of emotional burnout from emotional labor. And so my friend had actually messaged this person on Instagram, letting them know where spoon theory came from and its history. She didn't get a response, which prompted her to leave a comment under the video. There had already been a few different comments from people in the disabled community, and this person hadn't responded. So then I kind of came in and did the same thing, and at this point in time, we haven't heard anything. But I agree with my friend and the others who've left concerns under the video that this isn't really an appropriate usage for the term, and I'll explain. Now, I do want to preface by saying that I do actually recognize that there is a sense of emotional fatigue that comes from engaging in difficult conversations on a regular basis. I have felt this myself, but it isn't really a fair comparison that the person in the video is making, because what they are doing is saying that a normal amount of mental tiredness and fatigue is the same as the type of chronic fatigue that people are experiencing throughout their lives, and it's not the same. The first thing that needs to be taken into account are the differences between feeling tired and being fatigued. These are two different states. So often these two terms are used interchangeably without recognizing that they are different. Feeling tired, this is something that you feel, okay? You feel sleepy, and usually, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, because I know that there are exceptions, but usually if you feel sleepy, this is something that can be remedied in time. Being fatigued is something that is not something that you can quickly fix. Fatigue is something that you are. Fatigue is something that will be there the moment you wake up from a sleep, even if it's a good sleep, and it will be there until the time you go to bed. Ad nauseum, repeat, day in, day out. Fatigue is when you can't even lift your head off of the pillow. You can't go and take a shower because it's physically just too hard to move your body. You can't hold the shower head above your head because your arms are too weak. It can be a total systemic body-wide thing that can completely immobilize you day in and day out. And so we've talked about how everything costs spoons for people in the chronic illness community. And so I left a comment under the video kind of explaining this, that there's a difference between engaging in a conversation and knowing that you're going to at some point be fatigued by it, versus the fact that when I have low or no spoons, I can't even physically engage in a conversation that I know will be predetermined to be taxing. It can't do it. It won't happen. Some of my health issues affect my cognitive function, such as speech, memory. They also affect my motor function and my pain levels. So I can't verbalize 100% on these really bad days. I can't grasp for words properly, be it through actual vocal speech or when I'm typing. And typing itself is very hard. So usually on bad days, I don't even try. I turn my phone off. I'm not engaging. So this is the difference between being physically incapable of even entering a discussion versus being unable to finish one due to setting boundaries to prevent that sort of emotional and mental burnout that this person's talking about in the video. And that last bit is important. Consider that there are chronically ill, mentally ill, neurodivergent, and disabled individuals who are already engaging in the same types of discussions, social justice discussions, and just plain old difficult discussions that this person is talking about. We are the ones who are losing spoons to do so. A quote from the video: You can only give so many spoons before you can't do it anymore. But we're not giving our spoons. We are constantly losing them. They're being taken from us. We're not freely giving them. That word choice is very important. It's not a voluntary act. It's consistent. We are always losing them. Abled people who engage in social justice and difficult conversations can choose at any time to walk away before they experience fatigue. But people who are chronically ill and disabled, they can't do that because we are always fatigued. We are always losing spoons. We always have limited amounts of spoons. And at some point in the video, it became about how it costs 0 spoons to support beauty brands, certain beauty brands that align with your morals, or how you can even gain spoons back by doing this, which really waters down the true meaning of spoon theory, as I think we've kind of gone over by now if I've explained myself well enough. It isn't possible to gain spoons back. It isn't. It just isn't. So people in the comments heard the way spoon theory was being used in the video and started using it in their own kind of strange and completely inapplicable ways, such as, I can't give any spoons to these brands, as the Matrix would say, there is no spoon. Just, I don't know, trying to turn it into slang or something.
And people who had never heard of spoons and spoon theory now are working off of this person's idea of what it means and suggesting ways in which they will now apply it to their lives. This is not ideal.
At some point, some people were even asking that this person turn it into merchandise, like slogans on a shirt, which I hope the person does not take it under advice to do so. There actually are disabled people creating spoonie merchandise for fellow spoonies, and I can actually leave some links below if you would like to give a few dollars back to the disabled community. That would be a great way to do so. And I was furthermore concerned at how the content creator was only liking, hearting, and commenting on the comments that seemed to align with what they were saying in the video. So the comments that agreed with them about spoon theory, like, yeah, you can use it in so many different ways. But the comments that disagreed with them never got a response. And curating your comments in a way where you only listen to people who agree with you is not the best way, especially if you end up ignoring people who are from the marginalized group that you are co-opting terms from. When there are already words and phrases that exist for the things that we're trying to say, there's really no point in co-opting words from other communities. You don't have to say you're running low on spoons when you can just say you're running out of steam, you're running low on energy. You don't have to say that something costs you no spoons, something that is actually impossible, when you could just say that it costs you nothing. Working spoon theory into places that it was never intended to be isn't just contextually confusing, it completely takes away from the true meaning and the experiences from people in the disabled community who use this phrase to communicate with each other as well as healthcare professionals. I think this also speaks to the larger issue of people from all walks of life co-opting from communities we're not a part of, just to try and change language to suit our means, which we shouldn't be doing. Disability, ableism, and abled privilege is an area we have so much work to do on, and I hope that with this video it opens up a little bit more discussion. So that's all I really needed to say in this video, and I hope that we can continue that discussion down below. If you do know who I'm talking about, I mean, you can feel free to mention them. I'm choosing not to just because, like I said, I feel like this video is more than that. I don't really want to involve people when I'm truly not hating on anyone. I just feel like this is an education opportunity and I wasn't able to get through to them. But I would definitely like to know how you feel, if you are part of the disabled community. How do you feel about spoon theory? Have you even heard of it being used? Do you use it? Do you think that it is easily transferable into different contexts? Or do you think that it needs to just stay where it is? Abled people, now is the time to just listen to disabled people respectfully. So I'm going to open up the floor. If you want to find more of my content, I do have some links that you can find in the description, including a Patreon where I actually do post a lot about ableism. Instagram and Patreon are probably my two bigger platforms right now. On Patreon, I recently posted about the ableism behind Yennefer's character on The Witcher on Netflix, which you might be interested to read. So again, I have all my links down below and all of my makeup details down below. I think I look pretty cute today. What do you think? So if you want to subscribe, there's the button, there's the links, and I'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye everyone.